So let's talk about Arnold's. This is Arnold. This is also Arnold. This is the Arnold's. This is not Arnold. Quite similar, but it's not Arnold. This is also not the Arnold's. Welcome back to the channel, and let's talk about the little bit of confusion surrounding the Arnold's and TRU Athlete. And I'm going to say it here for the people that just watch the reel and don't bother watching the YouTube video, they are not the same thing. TRU Athlete is not a rebrand of the Arnold Sport Festival. It is not being run by the same people. There may be some people that were at the Arnold's that are now heavily involved with TRU Athlete, and I will speak about that if you watch the whole video. And I will also talk again about the CrossFit element of the competition, what's going on there, some changes to the finals of the European Championships, and why not maybe even just a quick look at the different reaction between the bodybuilding community and the CrossFit community about the TRU Athlete event itself. And if you have made it this far in the video, please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you're just here because I'm talking about the Arnold or TRU Athlete and you're interested in these kind of sports festivals and you don't care about CrossFit, still could be worth your time subscribing to the channel, following me on Instagram at JasonCFmedia, because now that I've started looking into these things, I'm starting to uncover a lot. So there's going to be some future videos on these topics as well. And I keep telling people that the C in Jason CF Media doesn't actually stand for CrossFit. Now, I'll be honest, when I made my last video, I wasn't really aware of what was going on around the Arnold Sports Festival. I knew quite a bit about the Arnold Fitness Games, that was the CrossFit element of the sports festival, just because I knew the people involved in that. And I was aware of some of the drama that had gone on around the sports festival the previous years as well. But since people started asking me some questions, well, now I've started digging into things and I'm uncovering a lot. Unfortunately, some things I can't quite share just yet, but will make very interesting future videos. But here's the thing. When I put out that video about TRU Athlete, I was really focusing in on its involvement with the European Championships and them representing CrossFit, even though they're not a licensed event. And I will come back to that because there's been a few other developments around the European Championships anyway. But it means when people started talking about TRU Athlete potentially being this rebrand of the Arnold Sports Festival, well, I wasn't aware that on the Arnold Sports UK Instagram, they had actually put out a reel talking about a potential name change. Evolution Bodybuilding had actually put out quite an interesting article talking about this potential rebrand, highlighting some of the problems that the Arnold Sports Festival had endured over the last couple of years, most noticeably that Arnold hadn't been present for the last 2 years. So it was already something in the minds of people. And then when they start seeing things like 2Bro Pro events talking about this, and they were actually the ones involved with the bodybuilding part of the Arnold's competition, it's understandable that they're seeing familiar names doing familiar things, and they're kind of putting one and one together and assuming, well, this must be this rebrand that they were talking about. And it definitely looks like the bodybuilding community have engaged much more with this event. When you look at the post that was shared by 2Bro Pro Events and the reaction and response and interactions they've had compared to the same post that was shared by the European Championships, where people were just asking questions like, is this a licensed CrossFit event? And then having their comments removed. So I just want to make it really clear once again that the TRU Athlete event and the Arnold Sports Festival are not the same thing, and they're not being organized by the same people. Yes, some people that were involved in one are now working on the other, but it is not the same team putting on this event. And I have actually been speaking with people that are sort of involved in what's going on with the Arnolds, and I'm getting little bits of information here and there, but they're telling me that very soon we should get some news, so I'm going to really keep on them, and as soon as I know something, I'll make sure to let everyone else know. Because there might be a lot more involved than just what was mentioned in that Evolution Bodybuilding article. So I hope that clears up the issue that I didn't actually know was an issue about the Arnolds and TRU Athlete. But going back to the reason I originally started speaking about this, it was that potential link between this event and the European Championships. And it looks like I was half right, or maybe 75%. So one of the issues that I raised was that they are representing CrossFit at this event while themselves not a licensed CrossFit event. Well, nothing seems to have changed there. They are still using CrossFit in their promotional material. In the video they've just released, they're talking about CrossFit. Interestingly, they're using a clip of Danny Spiegel when she competed at the Titan Games. Fun fact, at the Titan Games, they had to refer to her as a fitness influencer because they couldn't use the word CrossFit. So when we're talking about attention to detail, not a great start. Now, some have said, this is just an example of someone coming in from the outside, not being familiar with how CrossFit works, with what is and isn't officially CrossFit, what can use that term CrossFit. And while maybe we could make that excuse for TRU Athlete, the competition itself, and maybe people that are running it, if they ask the European Championships to be involved, well, they've been in and around the CrossFit space for long enough that they should have been able to provide that information. They could have said, look, we can't technically call this CrossFit. Let's call it functional fitness. Let's call it fitness racing. Now, of course, neither of those have the same ring to them or bring the same brand recognition as CrossFit. And that's very much the problem and why CrossFit is so protective of its name. Another interesting fact is at the Arnold Sport Festival, they had the Arnold Fitness Games that was a licensed CrossFit event. So while I was correct in their association with this event, one thing that it looks like I got wrong was the idea that this would actually be the finals for the European Championships, because when we looked on Competition Corner, it said they were in August. Well, as of today, they've sent out an email saying that the finals will actually be taking place in October. Now, we could reason on that potentially that's a good thing, because why would you want to have the finals of a CrossFit, although not technically a CrossFit competition, so close to the CrossFit Games? So moving it to October could be a good move on that part. Of course, the registration has been open for quite some time now, so I'm hoping if somebody signed up who actually really felt they had a good chance to qualify for the event, well, I hope they're now free in October and they haven't made plans already. But another thing to think about is the idea of doing one thing really well. So when we look at what happened this year with the European Championships, the decision to go ahead for another year, no doubt we would hope that they were really focused on getting it right this year. Everybody deserves a second, third, fourth or fifth chance, whatever they're on now. So maybe they could just really focus, make it a well-polished, well-executed event. But instead of putting that focus onto that one event, well, now it is divided. They're going to be running something in August at the TRU Athlete competition, and then they're going to have their finals in October. Now, while that's not impossible, we see events teams that can pull off multiple events, even some relatively close together. We haven't been filled with that confidence based on this year's performance at the European Championships. And there we have it, just a few updates that I didn't know I needed to put out, but after the messages and things I heard today, I thought I'd better make this video. Unfortunately, I still have a real job, so these videos can't be as quick to come out as perhaps I would like. Hey, who knows, maybe one day in the future things will change. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this. Did you think TRU Athlete was a rebranded Arnold's? Did you know they were two different things? Do you care? Let me know what you think about all of this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in a future video.